Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be offering a clearing around the area of intergenerational trauma. So intergenerational trauma is really trauma that has been handed down. And when we experience trauma, often what occurs is we actually don't have access to the memories in the way that we would ordinarily access the memories. However, we're actually left with the aftermath of the trauma. So that would be the energy, the feelings, the horror, the terror, and everything that went along with it. And if it actually isn't processed and completed in some way, it can really affect us in many different areas of our lives. So it can affect our relationships in an unhealthy way. It can affect our ability to actualize abundance. It can manifest as poor health. And it can also manifest as unhealthy and compulsive behaviors. So not only can we be affected by our own trauma, but we can also be affected by traumas that our family and our ancestors actually experienced. So trauma can actually be handed down. And often what happens is trauma is handed down and we unconsciously act it out, or it plays out or affects our life in some other way. So unresolved intergenerational trauma can really manifest in our life in many different ways. It could manifest as insomnia, depression, poor health, feeling low, lethargy, not being able to move forward. But the good news is that it's actually really, really easy to heal. Another way that it can actually play out is in unhealthy, compulsive, addictive behaviors. So addictive behaviors can present in many different ways. And a lot of people, when they think about addictive behaviors, a few things come to mind. So that might be alcohol, cigarettes, or some kind of substance. However, the truth is addictive behaviors can play out in many different ways. So an addictive behavior is really just a compulsive behavior that you feel like you have no choice in regards to. So it's something that becomes your default setting, and it can feel as though you have no power and no control over it. So addictive behaviors can show up in many other ways. It could be negative thoughts, what was the word I was going to say? Drama, havoc, pain, suffering. What's the other one? Control, perfectionism. So it can really play out in many, many different ways. And the behavior isn't so important. It's really looking at what is this behavior about and why is the person doing it. So what I have found with addictive behaviors, it's not about pleasure, it's actually about escapism. So what we do is we revert to the behavior as a way to disconnect and avoid reality. So it might be the actual symptoms of the trauma. So if we look at it from an intergenerational perspective, those traumas actually have symptoms, and those symptoms could be playing out in our own life. So it could manifest as anxiety, depression, negative thoughts, addictions. So it can really, really impact us in many different ways. So we're left with the trauma symptoms. Those trauma symptoms can be intergenerational or they can be our own. So what we do is we engage in the behavior, and often it's unconscious, so we're not doing it on purpose, as a way to numb out and disconnect from the trauma, the symptoms of the trauma, the emotions and the pain. The other reason that we actually engage in these types of behaviors is just to escape reality. So it might be living in a situation that you really don't like. So the mind actually tries to help you, and it kind of uses those addictive behaviors as a way for you to disconnect, dissociate, and numb out. So today I'd really like to do a clearing around this. So I've worked on this quite a lot, and what I have found is often it actually didn't start with you. It's actually trauma that's handed down, or you have experienced your own trauma and you have learned these coping mechanisms from the people around you, because we learn from the people around us, particularly when we're small children. A lot of these behaviors are actually formed when we're kids. So if you've had people around you who have a tendency to focus on negativity or drama, it can be very easy to begin to actually mimic those behaviors. So what we do is we mimic those coping mechanisms in our own life as a way to avoid a reality that we don't want. The thing about trauma is if it happened to you, if you had that experience, it may have happened many, many years ago. But what occurs with the mind is the past and the present become collapsed. So it can feel as though it's happening now. And the trauma is the very thing that actually triggers the addictive behavior. So do you have any questions around that, first of all? So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some clearings. If you'd like to receive them, simply say yes, and you'll receive them. So I'm connecting to divine source energy, and I'm just asking for the clearings to occur. So all of the traumas that you have experienced and have been handed down to you, is it okay now if we just resolve all of those? And we're just going to allow your consciousness, your body, to actually recognize and know that that was actually in the past, and in the present you're actually safe. So we're going to just train your body with the knowing to recognize that you are safe and to know when you are safe. And often what we do is we hold on to the old traumas unconsciously as a way to motivate us to protect ourselves or stay safe. Yet it's not really helpful, because when you're holding on to that trauma and the energy associated with it, you're living your life in a constant state often of anxiety, of hypervigilance, constantly on the lookout, waiting for something bad to happen. So they're not helping. So we're just going to allow your body and your consciousness to actually recognize that truth, to know that they're not helping, and we can actually let them go. And we're going to bring in the energy of what it is to know that you're protected and that you can protect yourself and keep yourself safe without needing to hold on to the trauma or any of the pain. So if you'd like that, simply say yes. Another reason that we often come into our family when we look at it from a spiritual level is so that we can actually break certain patterns. So can we just complete any contract, vow, oath, promise, agreement, or obligation that you made to come in and break the cycle of trauma, to break the cycle of addictive behaviors as well? So when we have these experiences, often what it can feel like, it's like if I am present and I'm connected to my body, it can feel as though I'm in threat, I'm in danger, or I'm going to die. And those feelings, those energies are echoes from the past. They're actually not a reality right now. They may be echoes of your own past, or they may be actually intergenerational. So we're just going to allow your consciousness to know that. To know that actually that you can be present and feel safe, and we're actually going to clear away those negative associations that you have with being present based on the old traumas, such as it's dangerous, it's unsafe, any old fears that we have in the present can actually come from old traumas that we've experienced that are actually projected into the future. So we're just going to clear out all of that energy, clear out all the shock, all the trauma, all the pain, and everything that can go. So really, these addictive behaviors, whether it's negativity or cigarettes or whatever it might be, it can be a way to actually avoid the intensity of your state of consciousness. So it's really a way to change your state of consciousness so that you can temporarily feel at peace or calm. So can we just shift that out and actually reset you so that you can actually know that you can be calm and safe and secure and thrive without needing these old addictive behaviors? We can also be addicted to a person and we can be addicted to toxic people, toxic behaviors. And often what I find is at the core of that is an unhealed aspect of us who has experienced something. It could be emotional abandonment. And when we've had that experience, I am perceiving this for some of you, when we've had that experience, what can happen is we actually get frozen in it. So when we experience trauma, there's different ways that we can actually respond to it. And one of the ways is to actually become frozen in it. So we become frozen and it's like an aspect of us actually gets stuck in that different time. And it's much younger, so it doesn't have the emotional and the social capacities and abilities that our adult self would have. So it lives in a different time, in a different reality, and it has different perceptions to the adult self. So based on that emotional abandonment, that younger self may have a perspective that I can't look after myself, I can't cope, and I'm all alone. And all the old energy that you would have felt in those moments stays alive within you. So it's that younger self trying to actually get connection and being taken care of by someone because it doesn't believe that it has the capacity to do it itself. And often it's very disconnected from your adult self. So there's actually amnesic barriers between that younger you and the adult you. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down those amnesic barriers now, if you'd like that. So what happens is the younger part becomes addicted to the person or the toxicity as a way to try to be taken care of, to be looked after. And it's actually not recognizing the truth that times have changed and that actually you have grown up and it's disconnected from you. So we're going to teach it that. We're going to align that younger part of you with that knowing that actually times have changed and you have grown up. And we are going to clear out all of that old energy. And we can also become addicted to certain behaviors like fixing and saving and pleasing. How many of you have that? So often when we have those types of behaviors, what occurs is it feels like if we don't fix or save, it's life-threatening or we're in danger or we're going to die. Of course, it's not a truth now for most of you anyway. It wouldn't be a truth, but it may have been a truth in the past or it may have felt like a truth. So it's the old trauma that is actually fueling the unhealthy habits in relationships. And when you're in that type of relationship where you're constantly trying to fix and save, what you're doing is you're trying to control your environment so that you feel safe because you feel unsafe. And it's the old trauma that's actually fueling the energy. But the truth is that you are safe. So we're going to align you with that consciousness now. Bring in the knowing that you can take care of yourself and that you're not alone. So align you with that truth. And we're going to show you the truth about what you're truly capable in regards to what you believe, you were told, or you imagined. And we're going to clear out all of those old energies now. These too can be intergenerational patterns that you actually learn from people around you. So you may have had a parent who was constantly fixing other people, but never really looking within. And that's a way to actually disconnect from the pain and the suffering. So often what we do then is we actually learn these behaviors, so we actually have a tendency to mimic them. So what we're going to do is we're going to send this healing to whoever would like to receive it as well today. And often there's a lesson in this as well. So for some of you, it may have been for you to stand on your own 2 feet. So can we actually shift your consciousness so that you know that you can? And can we clear out all of the energies that don't allow you to do that with ease? We're going to download a frequency that's just going to shift all of that out. We're going to show you that you can stand on your own 2 feet. You can move forward and you recognize what you're capable of. And we're going to let go of those old energies that you're holding on to that are actually sabotaging you and keeping you stuck. So in this case, it's the old trauma, the energy associated with it. So it's like the fear, the terror, the aloneness, the abandonment can be the trigger which stimulates you to actually engage in the fixing, the saving, or perhaps it's actually you find yourself getting pulled into other people's drama. And although that has a negative side, it also may have some kind of unconscious benefit, because at least then you're not present with yourself and you're disconnected from the pain and the suffering. So we're just going to resolve all of that for you now. So I'm seeing some of you have some kind of contracts to actually mimic the traumas that your family experienced so that you can actually clear them. So can we complete those now and actually show you that you can complete them through divine energy without having to actually mimic them? And can we just heal all trauma that is actually present? And I'm seeing for some of you, some of your ancestors actually experienced starvation and poverty, and this is something that's actually causing extra weight on your body. So we're just going to resolve all of that. And if there's a lesson in that, we're just going to ask for that to be completed as well. Okay, how are you all doing? Oh, and if you know anyone who would like to listen to this, please tag them or live stream. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. Just having a little look at your comments. So we can have many different triggers for the addictive, unhealthy behavior. Sometimes it's a feeling that we have within us. Sometimes it's a person. Sometimes it's the weather or a time of year. And that thing is the thing that can actually stimulate the old trauma. And when the trauma is stimulated, the old emotions are stimulated, and it also triggers you to engage in that unhealthy behavior. So there are many, many different things that can actually trigger you. So I'm just going to ask for a healing on all of your triggers now. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's live. I also wanted to let you know that I am running a facilitated series that starts this Friday. and it's around the area of breaking free from addictive behaviors, and the focus is really underlying what the addictive behavior is. So again, the addictive behavior could be negativity, it could be pain, it could be suffering, it could be illness, it could be control, it could be perfectionism, it could be a substance as well. Maria says, is it possible to be addicted to curse as well? What I have seen is that often people do unconsciously elicit energies in as a way to be distracted. So it's about looking at, well, what am I trying to distract myself from? So often what the mind does is when it doesn't want you to access a painful trauma or feeling or memory, it will actually unconsciously elicit things in to distract you. So I would say it's very, very possible. So just to go back to the series that I'm running this Friday, so as I mentioned, there's a close relationship between addictive behaviors and trauma. So we're actually looking at that and looking at why you are engaging in these behaviors, and we're actually shifting them out. We're looking at many different areas. So we're looking at it from an intergenerational perspective, and we're also looking at the how can I put this? The energetic components that can actually impact you and play a part in trauma. And trauma is about actually just changing your or not trauma, addictive behaviors is about changing your state of consciousness. So we're actually working on you so that we can actually reset you to your natural state of being, which is joy, which is the state that most people are born with. And through our experiences, we form belief systems, we pick up energies, we have feelings, and all of these things actually block us from accessing our true essence, our true natural state, which is joy. So this is very much about resetting you to that state. And we look at, the intergenerational patterns, the coping mechanisms, and the things that have been playing out in your life and shifting those. And there's much, much more. We also are going to be facilitating you. So it is a facilitated program. So you can ask for facilitation and everyone receives all of the clearing. So I would love to have you there. I'm going to share the link below in case you'd like to join. I also did a complimentary clearing around this last night. It was a taster to this event. So I'm going to share this below as well in case you would like to listen to that. So we do begin this Friday at 1 p.m. British Standard Time. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining me. Bye-bye for now.